Hey everyone, and welcome to this walkthrough of the Read Your Body app. I'm Megan of Fantastic Fertility, so we're going to just kind of go through and see a little bit about how this app works. So the Read Your Body app is this kind of teal icon right at the bottom right of my screen with a little book and a uterus. So we're going to tap that and it'll open. And one of the great things about the Read Your Body app is you can customize cervical mucus observations. And we're just going to kind of walk through that in just a sec. This is just simply how the data entry screen looks for the day. You can enter in your temperatures there at the top, as well as the time taken. And you can just kind of adjust this. I'm just going to add mine in for today. And a handy thing with that is that in the morning, once you tap this, it will automatically go to the current time that it is right now. So if you go to enter your temp in the morning, you pretty much just have to tap it and then just say okay right away. Okay. It also looks like that's showing up in military time, which is kind of interesting. I wonder if I can get that changed. Anyway, here we have below it the fluid observations or cervical mucus observations. As you can see for FEM, I have optimized mine so it just says GELES. And then also you can see it has the flag or a yellow day. I like to think of yellow observations in FEM as a little flag on the chart, and I'm not confusing it with a literally yellow colored, cervical mucus sample. Instead, it's considered a little flag that I want to look back at later. Below we have sensation, so you can select either G dryness, a smooth sensation, or a lubricative sensation, and they kind of correspond above to our cervical mucus observations as well. So for today, my sensation's been dry. You can also chart intimacy as well. There's a partner notification option, so you can notify your partner, are we in infertile days in the cycle, and it's time to party, as they phrase it in the app, or should we use caution and should we not have, unprotected sex? So you can literally just kind of tap this and then send it to people as needed. So if I wanted to send this to my partner, the caution stop, I would just select his name there and send it. Below we have LH testing options. And here there's a few options. So we can mark it as negative, positive. Not entirely sure what that is, but okay. And then here we have a question mark. So if the observation is confusing, you can just write a question mark. Today I haven't done any LH testing, so I'm going to unmark that. And then you can also mark a count as well. So let's say today I had a positive and then I also want to start the count. I could do that and then it would show up on my chart right here in the middle with that little plus sign, followed by a count. Again, I'm just going to go back and change that because it didn't really happen today. We also have progesterone testing as well. You can mark that accordingly. And then we have our custom info lines. Here, I really, really love these custom info lines. You can kind of pause as I scroll through and just consider perhaps adding some of those to your own chart or maybe modifying them for your life. And then you can also create, delete, and reorder them, which is really handy. So if I wanted to create a new custom data, I'm just going to click on Create New Line at the top. And then let's say I wanted to keep track of, I wanted to keep track of like walks or something. So you can choose an icon, a walking person, and you can choose the format. So if I choose emojis, every time I walk, it's just going to show that emoji. If I show levels, I can show a small walk, medium walk, or a long walk. If I do test results, it's going to be positive or negative. You can also do text or numbers. So in this case, let's say you wanted to keep track of like how many miles you walked or something. You could type that in there. Or you could do a toggle and just say, yes, I walked, or no, I did not walk. So those are some options. And then last but not least at the bottom, this is kind of key. You can select whether you want it to be a charting custom data or a lifestyle one. Now, I think walking is more of a lifestyle. If you had one where you were tracking like sleep, that might be a handy charting one, just to kind of keep track of your sleep. So yeah, that's how that would look. And then you would just, you would just save it from there, and then it would be right at the bottom. In order to drag and drop and just reorder these, you're going to press edit in the top right. You're going to scroll down to the one that you want to select, tap on the little 3 lines on the right, and just drag and drop it up and down, and that's going to determine where it shows up on your chart. And then you would just press done. So once I go back to my data entry screen, it's there at the bottom. It was selected as toggle. And so I turn it on. I went for a walk today, let's pretend. And then it shows up there at the bottom, that little walking person. Another thing I want to point out is the options for a journal. You can type in stuff here for your journal entries, or you can type in notes here. And basically, a note is going to show up actually on your chart there at the bottom, whereas a journal entry is going to show up with that little journal icon, and then once you tap it, it shows you what you had written there, which is kind of cool. Again, none of that actually happened, so I'm just going to delete it. And another really, really cool thing about adding photos in this app is that you get to, record things like cervical mucus observations. So I didn't add any photos for today yet. Let's pretend I wanted to add, really glad it's not the front-facing camera right now. Let's just pretend I wanted to add a pretend cervical mucus observation. I'm just going to take a picture, and then I'm going to press OK. And then you can also, looks like you can crop it. There we go. I'm going to check that off. So now I have a photo logged for the day. This is so incredibly handy as a tool. This is something that you can keep track of. I think you can possibly even add more photos. I'm just going to go back actually. Let me just see what happens if I take another one. I think I can add multiple from a day. Yeah, so you can. So it looks like you can add up to 2 photos because now it's not letting me add more. This is incredibly handy. If you want to keep track of your ES mucus versus arousal fluid, you can do that in this app. It's a really handy place to store this information in a way that it's coinciding with your day's data. You can also, of course, do this just in an album on your phone, but it's not going to be perfectly lined up with your actual chart. So, there's some positives and some negatives there. You can, of course, store more in an album on your phone, and you can add videos in an album on your phone. But with the app, you can just do 2 photos and kind of have them as reference points. And it looks like if you tap on this little photo icon, you can kind of scroll through both of your photos that you added there, which is incredibly handy. So I love that feature. So this is pretty much the chart here. It's showing, let's see, just all my information. And if you kind of just look through your own chart, you can kind of sort out where things are showing up. Let's pretend I wanted to export this chart. I wanted to send this to my instructor or something. I'm going to tap this little download button in the top right of the screen. And I'm going to press Lifestyle Custom Info Lines because I do want my Lifestyle Custom Info to still be included on my chart. Then I'm going to press Export. Then I'm going to be able to just send this to myself. That's what I prefer to do. I send it to myself on Messenger, right there. And then personally, I just go to Messenger, I go to my own chart, and then I save it. And now it's downloaded to my phone, and I can send it to more people. So that's all an option. That's how you export, at least on an Android. I'm not sure for iPhones, but I know for Android, that's what you do. Other things we can look at is the calendar. This just shows you simply a calendar view of your cycles. As you can see, it has that little legend below to show you the different types of colors that are showing up and what they're communicating. On the bottom right, we also have the stats button. Now, my stats are like all wacky. Don't pay attention to them. Some of them are not accurate because the only charts that I've actually charted with sincerity in this app are cycles 5 and 6. Cycle 1, 2, 3, and 4, as you can see, they were like really long. We have 84 days, 78 days. Those weren't my true cycle lengths. I was just lazy and I did not chart accurately with those. I was charting in Kandara back at that time. But anyway, I'm fully transferred to Read Your Body now, and I'm fully committed to this app, so moving forward, that's going to be handy. I'm pretty sure, though, that in this app, you can select whether or not you want your past charts to be like included in your averages and stuff for your data. So that's something that can be explored as well. I also just want to go over to settings, because now that we've kind of just seen kind of how everything looks, we want to get into the nitty gritty of like, okay, how do I actually set this up though? So I'm on my settings page. First off, we have this customized tracking thing at the top. I'm going to tap on that. Here's where we can edit, and it's saying press and hold the tabs to reorder or hide items. And so here you can see that I have some pieces that are visible and then other ones that are hidden. So I hide the elements that I personally do not track. So personally, I don't chart my cervix. I don't have a second temperature that I'm charting. I only use one BBT thermometer, and I don't use like a temp drop or something. For people who chart with both an oral thermometer and a temp drop, it's super handy to have those two temps charted. So that could be something that you select. I also personally do not chart any calculations. I don't have a Clearview monitor, and I don't take pregnancy tests. And so here are the ones that I do chart though. Now you can label them. So I have this specifically labeled as my thermometer. Oops. There we go. Let me see if I can cut that. There we go. So I have this charted as my thermometer, and this is how it's showing up. I'm also selecting the time that they're taken so that I can chart that as well. This is really handy for people to consider charting, especially if you may have irregular wake-up times and you're trying to determine, are my temps generally different if I wake up earlier or later? That can help you create that pattern for yourself and see what's going on there. Here at the bottom, we have options to display temperatures as either rounded or truncated. For Fahrenheit, rounded means that we're rounding to the nearest 0.1. Truncated means that you're just completely ignoring the final digit. I recommend going with rounded. Okay. Next, we have our fluid observations, and here's where you get to edit your cervical mucus. And again, with them, the observations that we want to be charting are G, EL, ES, and a yellow flag. So to do this, let's say I wanted to, create a new label. You just do that there, that gray button on top, and then you can select and just say, I don't know, let's just pretend that M cervical mucus exists. And then I wanted to chart that as green. So you can then select, how do you want this to show up? Do you want it to show up as one of these icons? And then you can kind of go from there. And then you would just save that. I'm not actually going to save this though, but if you wanted to, you can do that. You can record and read your body up to 6 different types of cervical mucus observations, so it's really incredibly versatile in that way. And then I think you can also reorder them. Let's see. Not 100% sure if you can reorder them. So as you're adding them in, perhaps just try and go through and just do G, EL, ES, and then the yellow flag kind of in order. Okay, down below we have sensation. And that is something that looks like you can't edit, but it's there. Then we have intimacy. I have as my charting options unprotected sex. I do not have insemination charted because I'm not in IVF. I'm not trying to conceive. I have condoms also as an option. I don't have diaphragm as an option because I don't use one. And then I also have withdrawal as an option because we do, as well as non-PIV sex or non-penis in vagina sex. And then there's also an option for other if you just want to incorporate more information there. So that's what the intimacy options look like. And of course, right now my cat is sitting on me. If you hear his purring in the background, that's why. Below the intimacy, we have the partner notification. Below that, we have LH testing. So here I have 1 per day. That's all I really need to chart, even though I take more. I'm just charting what the most fertile observation was. We have progesterone testing. We have custom info. And again, here's another place where you can edit and add to your custom info as well. So actually, I'm going to edit this, and I'm actually going to delete my walks just to kind of show you how that goes. And then I'm done, so I'm going to go back. There we go. Below that, we have our journal, our photos, and our notes. So in terms of what I want to make visible or invisible, we just tap on this little edit button in the top right here. And then that just lets us kind of drag and drop with the little 3 bars and add and reorder how we want things to show up. So if I did track my cervix, I could drag this up here, but I don't, so I put it back down there, and then I'm done. Okay, we're gonna go back. With temperature units, this is super simple. Just select Fahrenheit or Celsius, and Read Your Body does a really great job here of telling you that Celsius is charted to the nearest 0.5, and Fahrenheit is displayed to the nearest 0.1. This is a really key difference because with Celsius and Fahrenheit, of course, they're different temperature units, and we need to be reflecting that accurately. So Read Your Body does a great job of that. Temp drop integration, I do not have a temp drop, but if I did, I would turn that on, and I would just follow the steps that they prompt you with. Fertile window shading, I have this off. It basically is designed for users who use a double check symptothermal method, which FEM is not. So that's something that I definitely invite people to research on their own if they ever want to, but it's not really necessary. And so I have that off on mine. Chart size. I think this is really key. This is a great accessibility feature that they have. And you get to select how big or small you want your chart to show up as you're looking at it and scrolling at it on your screen. I personally like 120%. Below that, we have our data. You can import data from Kindara. You can also export your Read Your Body data as well. You can clear out your data, or you can look at your data storage. Feedback, they have an opportunity to rate and review the app. Reporting a bug and suggesting a feature. That's also really key as well, especially reporting bugs. Please make use of that because the app team that, developed this app, they're super responsive to those types of things, and they really want your support and your feedback because it really helps to improve the app. So please, if you encounter a bug or if you want to suggest a new feature, please do communicate with them. That is what this app is all about. Okay, down below we have the opportunity to get support. If I click on that, it takes me to their FAQs and stuff like that. So this is probably a great place to get started and just kind of explore. Below that, we have this feature tour. This just takes you through, it looks like a video or swipeable thing that you can kind of walk through, kind of like I'm doing right now, but it's just kind of done for you. More information about the app. They have their privacy policy right here, which is really great. And then down below, it just tells you what version of the app that you have. This seems like frivolous info perhaps, but it's actually really key because they really do updates kind of often. And you just want to make sure that you have the most current one. So if you follow them on Instagram, they'll often post like, hey, we just did an update, just make sure that you're updating your app and just double check that it is matching what we currently have out right now. And mine is updated as far as I know, because I think mine just goes automatically. So yeah, that pretty much covers most of it. A couple other things I want to show you that are really important for just basic charting are things like marking a temperature shift, marking a peak day, and marking a cover line. Of course, those things are so important to be able to do manually with our charting. So I want to mark my temperature shift. In this little thermometer header up top, I'm going to check off interpretation. And I'm going to just say that my temperature shift starts today. And I'm going to go back to my chart, and now we see that that little number 1 is marked. Of course, this is not a real temperature shift, so this is not accurate, but let's just pretend, okay? Also, if I wanted to say that today's temperature was questionable, I would check off disturbed. Then it turns that temperature to kind of like a grayed out or like a little faded out color. And it, as you can see, it takes away the little connective line from the previous temperature so that you're not considering it as part of your observations, okay? If I wanted to, let's pretend I wanted to mark today as a peak day. I'm going to mark that as ES mucus, and if it is a peak day, I'm just going to mark it as such right there. And you can also mark a few other things as well. Start of a new cycle, the first sign or feeling of cervical fluid, which is, as we know with femme, called the point of change. But today I'm just marking my peak day. And then this is how it's going to show up. I'm going to press my chart. We see that there it's marked with a little P above the little cervical fluid bar, and then the count of 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm just going to switch that back. There we go. Down below we have sensation. Again, today was G, and then we have these other things. If I wanted to mark a temperature shift, I go to my chart, and you can see on the top left, it has that little tiny chart with a little line across the horizontal. I'm going to tap that. And then you just input manually the level that you want your line to go. So let's actually think about that, because I can do this. So in order to determine my current cover line, I'm going to look at my latest 6 temperatures on cycle days 10 through, cycle day 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, cycle day 5. The highest of those temps is on cycle day 9 at 97.4. So therefore my cover line for Fahrenheit needs to go at 97.5. I'm going to select the little cover line button. I'm going to type in 97.50 because you do need the 0 at the end just to have it be that rounded number. And it's going to show up like that little yellow cover line, okay? If I want to delete that, I just go in and I take it away. And it's gone, okay? So that's how we mark our peak day, our cover line, and our temperature shift in the Read Your Body app, and those things are really important to know. Okay guys, I hope this walkthrough has been helpful. If questions have come up, please reach out and let me know. If you have technical questions or you want to report a bug or you want to send feedback to the Read Your Body app team, please contact them directly because I'm not associated with them in any way. But I can, try and help you with some basic tech stuff, but ultimately at the end of the day, you probably want to just reach out to customer service if an issue does come up. Okay, let me know if you have any other follow-up questions, and I'll try and connect with you and answer them. Otherwise, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you have a great day. All right, bye.